What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of Light Lessons with Sierra. I'm really excited this week. We are focusing on strength, and elephants are my favorite animals, so that's why they're on there. And they're strong, and they have a heart. Duh. Every so often with these episodes, I want to bring on somebody who's a fellow light worker in my life. Somebody who brings me a lot of joy and a lot of light and a lot of love and makes me think about the world in another way. This week, I am really excited to introduce to you my friend Joshua Keith, who I met doing the pre-Broadway tryout of a show called Ever After. He is the first person I thought of when I wanted to focus on the word strength. He is one of my favorite people. I just think the world of him. I'm really excited for you to hear what he has to say and add him as somebody in your toolbox, and stay tuned for the whole thing because at the end, he gives us an incredible Marination Station. So enjoy. Here is Light Lessons with Sierra and introducing my friend Josh Keith. Recording.
He is recording.
Hi, Josh!
Hey, girl. Sierra's in the house.
This is happening. Just give us strength.
That's all we need.
First of all, how are you?
I'm good. I had a great run this morning, worked out. How are you?
I worked out this morning. I'm good. It's like, it's weird. This time
It's
it's weird.
I was in that same place and I was like, We can go there, but we can't stay there. We have to find our solution, keep it moving forward. But we have to address it. We have to feel it, but then we have to keep going. We can't stay there. The longer you stay down, the harder it is to get back up.
Oh, I know that's right. Yeah, it's not that we don't go down, but we sure don't want to stay down there too long.
Don't stay down too long. Feel it, take it in, address it, allow it to flow through the body, and then pick yourself back up. One step at a time. Find the strength.
And with that, let the people say, begin.
Begin.
Okay, here we go. So I am so excited because this is one of my absolute favorite people on the planet. We actually only met, is it last year or are we in like year 2? I like all my years, we're in year 2.
It was a holiday season.
Holiday season. 'Tis the season for this friendship. So we first of all met doing a show called Ever After. The first moment that I remember connecting with you, we had a lot to do. It's a major dance show. In one of the numbers, I had to lift a giant man. Like I had to actually fireman's carry a man. All these people are telling me how to do it and all these things. Josh came over to me later and offered me, with kindness and knowledge, much knowledge, he said, Sierra, I just want to say, like, and take it or leave it, like, and I don't want to overstep or anything, he's like, you want to use your glutes and you want to, like, all these things. It was so helpful. And that was like, instantly I was like, you have my back. You literally taught me how to have strength to do it. And because you gave me tools in which to do that physically, my mental was strong. Plus, I knew that I have somebody who is literally supporting me during this. We were bonded, and we were bonded because for me, I was like, this person has integrity and strength, and we had that humor. If you can't make me laugh, I don't know how to talk to you. So anyway, so I just wanted to start with that and just say, you're one of my people. You're in my life forever. Here we are, Super Soul Sunday. Okay, this week we're talking about strength. And as soon as I text you, would you want to do this? Do you remember what you said?
I remember saying yes immediately in my head, but I also said, I'm on the same wavelength as you.
Yeah.
We're on the same length right here. We're on the same thing. And I remember thinking and writing it down and journaling what my next step was and how to get this out there. And I remember thinking, this is confirmation. And I know that that's how our relationship has always been. Since I first met you, we've always been on that same wavelength. And so when you called me, I had already been journaling. I had already been praying about it. I had already been thinking about it. I wasn't sure who I was going to be speaking to. I wasn't sure if I was going to create it myself, but I knew that it was happening. And when I got your call and your text, I said, there it is. It was just so in alignment. That was the perfect text message from the perfect person who I not only feel comfortable with, but someone that I know I have a true solid connection with. I honestly thought to myself, here we are. Here we are.
Just how you spoke about alignment is like, that's the thing. But notice, and for everybody listening, notice that what he's talking about is he was already doing the work. And we're interested in doing the work.
And the work for me begins within. You have to begin within, because there's always this element of this outward appearance or a facade or whatever you're trying to show. But the work begins within. If I had done the work, there would have been a text message.
That's right. Okay, you're already killing this so much. Let's talk about the easiest stuff first, which, I mean, it's easy, but let's talk about the outward. So obviously there's outward strength. You're a dancer. You're an incredible dancer. Talk about what strength means and how that's applied to you as a dancer and how you learned all that.
Well, dancers, this is my opinion, we're athletes. Dancers come from all backgrounds. There's no rhyme or reason. There's no particular shape or size. No matter what you hear, dancers come from all backgrounds. And it is truly an art form that is very much a sport. And it takes a certain level of physicality to embody the choreography that a choreographer is giving you. A lot of times you see dancers who can pick up the movement and regurgitate it, but then there are people who you see who dance with just abandonment, and it's just like they take over the stage. And physicality lends itself to abandonment when you dance. You just let it go, let it out, put it out there, see what happens. You know the choreography, but move, use your physicality to take up the space, as they say in the dance world. Take up space. But again, physicality really begins within, because you have to know how to use that physicality. It is a level of owning the body, working out in the gym. I choose to focus a lot on Pilates, because I think Pilates it strengthens the body, again, from within. Everything starts from the core, from the powerhouse, and that's what strength is. In Pilates, we refer to the core as the powerhouse. That's where your power is. That's where your strength is. That's where your strength lies. And you know what, girl? I didn't learn that until a year ago. I didn't know that. I knew how to move with physicality, but I didn't know how to dance with a level of abandonment, because I was relying on my core. The body that I possessed allowed me to show up in the space. But once you learn how to move from here, from within, the physicality really takes over.
That's so powerful, and realizing that it all comes from the core, like physically absolutely comes from the core, and then spiritually the core. That's what's up. Let's talk about how you started, because your story is so interesting to me. You have such a physical strength, obviously, which we talked about, but you also have this spiritual strength and this mental strength that I just admire so much. So tell us your tales.
I come from Winston-Salem, North Carolina. I was raised in a single parent home. My mother raised 3 children and put us all through school and herself. She holds a master's degree on her own. And she kept us in church. So church, especially for the African-American community, is a breeding ground for success. I mean, when you think about the many people that come from the church, from Whitney Houston, Aretha Franklin, I mean, I could just go on and on and on. They all come from the church, and there's a certain level of spirituality that you take in, and you learn from that, and you use that to navigate your life. As you matriculate through life, you use those principles that are in your arsenal, and you keep using those. And then I started out playing sports. I played basketball. Honey, people will never believe that. Okay. People will never believe that. But I'm here to tell you, listen, I got a fierce 3-pointer. I got a fierce layup. She'll shut you down. Okay. Don't start it. I played basketball, played baseball, played t-ball as a kid. I played soccer. I played tennis. I ran track. I was involved in everything. My first introduction to theater was actually through acting. I did Much Ado About Nothing in elementary school. And then I started doing a little bit of dance, and they started introducing dance to me. Girl, this was in a gymnasium. This was not even in anybody's ballet studio. This was a gym, okay? And I fell in love with just dance and the discipline of it. And I said, I want to do this. I want to do this. And not only did I know it, I felt it. There's this level of feeling that you get when you know that you're doing what you're supposed to be doing, what you are put on earth to do. I felt it right within. And then I started just taking small classes, anything that we could afford. You know, ballet and dance is very expensive. I found it just through people at my church who would say, oh, he's really talented. I own a dance studio. You should come to my dance studio. Don't worry. You're a male. Don't worry about it. It'll be free. Don't worry about it. And so I started doing that. And then I started training on the campus of Winston-Salem State University with, her name is Angela Beatty. And then for college, I went to Howard University, and I started as a dance major. During the first semester, I said, no, I don't want to just be a dancer. Because I knew that I could do more, and I always wanted to do more. Honey, I marched myself right on up from the basement up to the second floor, and I said, listen, I want to change my major. I want musical theater.
And
here's the thing. I changed, honey. I changed my major, and I said, this is what I want to do. And then from musical theater, I was introduced to jazz, and that's where it all took off. I mean,
Let me just comment on this, because I want everybody to realize you're talking about this inner knowing that you've had, you know, and that's the thing. It's like that desire, but then it's the work, which you were doing. It wasn't just, oh, I desire this and here it is. You were doing the work, but then the strength that it takes to be courageous enough to go to the office and be like, this is what I'm going to do. You know?
And it takes strength. You know, when you look at your own life, you don't even realize it, because I am a natural born leader. I always have been. My mother named me Joshua from Joshua 1:8 from the Bible verse. I've always been very courageous. I've always been very strong, sometimes to a fault, but I have never been one to back down. Never. And if I want to do it, I'm going to do it. However, even if I hadn't been born with that strength, how do you cultivate that? Just listen. Just stop. There are three. Stop, shut up, listen. Okay? Stop, shut up, listen. Stop what you're doing, close your mouth, listen. And when you start hearing, you'll start feeling it. This is not where I'm supposed to be. This is not where I'm supposed to be. Because doing what you're not supposed to be doing is the biggest lesson. That will inspire you and encourage you and strengthen you to find the courage to go and do everything you're supposed to be.
That is so major, what you just said. Doing what you're not supposed to do will give you strength and will teach you exactly that this isn't right.
Because all the roads lead to success.
Yeah.
All roads lead there. They all do. We don't know what road you're on today is your road for the day, but all roads lead to success if you keep going.
If you keep going. When do you know if you should keep pushing yourself, or if it's like, let me just stop for a second? How do you know?
You stop. Get quiet. Get quiet with yourself, and you will feel it. You will feel within you what you need to do. And the strength will come because you'll know this is not what I want to be doing. Get still with yourself. You get still with yourself, you find yourself a good journal. Journal, okay? Listen, get yourself a journal. That is the best thing you can do. You will read that journal 3 years from now and say, wow, I did it. Because writing is cathartic. It really is. Get it out.
I agree.
Get it on paper. Get it out.
That's right. There's something about it coming from your arm. It's as opposed to let me write it in my notes via my thumbs. There's something about the writing of it, and that you can physically get to it. You don't have to hope that your phone turns on.
No, I can access this whether I have battery or not. Okay, it's good old fashioned pen and paper, honey, and she worked. She worked.
Here's your pen. So if you are aligned with what you're supposed to be doing, you have that feeling, you have this knowing, this is where I'm supposed to be. It's not that suddenly the work is super easy. It makes you want to work harder because you know that this is on purpose. It's not for nothing. So it's not like suddenly you win everything, suddenly you get cast and everything. Suddenly, that's not it. It's that the work becomes even more worthy to yourself because you are on purpose, because you have that knowing.
that was a lesson learned for me,
Mm-hmm.
because my senior year of college, I said, you know what? It's time to start auditioning. Go up to New York City. And I remember I booked a Megabus special, honey. She was a $30 round trip, okay? I got on up to New York City, took that 4-hour bus ride. I went right into Chelsea Studios, and I auditioned for a show. It was called Cut Man, and it was another Broadway tryout. I literally went in, and I didn't have an equity card or anything, so I was waiting. And I remember the choreographer said, we're going to shut it off. We're going to close it. We're not going to see non-equity today. And I said, well, great. Here goes that. And then she said, we'll see one more group. Honey, I stood up so quick. I wasn't in that group. Honey, I had shot. Her resume was ready. She was stapled. She was ready to go.
Yeah.
Okay. Here you are. I don't need a phone to access this. That's what happens. Pen and paper. Okay. Pen and paper. There she is. Pen and paper. Okay. And
those other people are like, I'm in that group too. No, you didn't print it out.
No, you didn't print that. No. I went over to reproductions. I had her ready. Okay, here you are. Okay, I got that good hefty paper. Okay, heft, honey.
I paid an extra 10 cents for this paper.
Okay. And I walked into the audition room, and it was a lesson learned, because I did book the job. They offered me my equity card. I made $186 a week. Okay, listen, humble beginnings. Okay.
Oh, my first job, I made $104 a week.
Listen, I was making big money then. Okay.
Yeah, so here.
Okay, listen, I was making big money, okay? Big money, 104, girl. And I thought to myself, oh, I'm gonna be fine. This is gonna be all right. I'll book my first job. If this is the trajectory, then I'm gonna be all right, okay? Fine. But the work gets harder. And I realized once I came to New York with just an equity card, no agent, no apartment, no anything, I realized that the work begins now. I think I quickly realized that was your introduction to the business, but the work begins. So yes, the work really does begin once you find your place.
Yes. Let's talk about the strength from within. There is this inner strength that we must possess, I feel like, not just in our industry, but to be a capable human. We have, do you believe, more strength inside of us than we realize? And how do we tap into that?
Well, there's so much more strength inside of us than we realize. We are more powerful than we know. We are powerful beyond measure.
That reminds me, your website, you have a quote.
That's right, Marianne Williamson. There she is.
Marianne Williamson. And I'm going to read it off of this so that I don't get it wrong. Our deepest fear is not that we are inadequate, but that we are powerful beyond measure.
We are.
I mean, if you guys didn't get by now how amazing Josh is, the fact that it's like, here's my website and here's the quote that represents me, because it's true. And we've talked about this. It's like, you know, we go through those things, especially as performers, that we are so powerful and we're the best in all these things, but also it's like, who are you to be that powerful? Who are you to, and it's that struggle between it. So how much strength is inside of us? How do we know, and how do we tap into it?
You know, a lot of this is still new for me, because I remember I didn't know that I possessed that kind of strength. I really didn't learn a lot about that until I went through a horrible injury. It was on stage, and the recovery was so much physical therapy, so much work. And I found that a lot of strength in doing the work every day, doing those exercises that seem so mundane and so boring. But it's those small movements where you gain the most strength. You know, you have to keep going. It's one step at a time. And so I learned, you know what the biggest step for me in strength was? It was being able to say no. It was saying no. It was saying no. I had to learn how to say no so that I could have longevity in my career, but it took courage to learn how to say that. Meaning I look like this, so you want me to lift her. Mm-hmm. However, I look like this, but I don't want to work like that for the rest of my life. It took a lot of strength, because I always had the need to please.
Oh, yes.
It's the need to please, honey. You go in the room and they say, I can do it.
No, it's true, because we're people pleasers by nature, especially as actors. We are accustomed to being like, yeah, just say yes, be able to do everything. The answer is always, yes, I can. We have this strength inside of us, yes, but the way to keep that strength and to be able to use that strength in our most powerful ways is if we haven't said yes to absolutely everything. Does that make sense?
That's the strength.
when you are feeling like, when you're feeling low, or when you feel like I don't have the strength to do this, I don't have the strength to carry it, where do you find that? There's some reserve somewhere. What do you tap into? Where do you go to help you reignite that strength or find that strength?
Well, I have a lot of mentors. And the funny part is none of them know me.
That is so brilliant. Oh, I'm obsessed with this. Yeah, I think I have the same. They don't realize.
They don't know me, but it's okay. It's just fine. One of my biggest mentors, and I post her often, is I call her Grandma Maya Angelou. She, in my mind, she's my grandmother. She's not my grandmother. We are not related. I am from Winston-Salem, North Carolina. She lives in Winston-Salem, North Carolina. Okay. She was a teacher, a professor at Wake Forest University. I lived around the corner from Wake Forest.
Come on.
Okay. So in my mind, Maya Angelou was my grandmother. Okay. There are two things. She says, when you learn, teach, and when you get, give. And then she also says, there is a certain place within that is off limits. It is shut down. No one goes there. No one. Okay. No one has access to that part of me that lives within, because that is where I find solitude. And I keep saying begin within, and I don't mean that in some cliche way. You really have to find a place that's within you that you go. Some people use yoga, meditation, chanting, spirituality. Whatever your spiritual practice is your spiritual practice. Listen, all the roads lead to the same place as far as I'm concerned.
That's right. You're so right.
As far as I'm concerned. Spirituality, I find, is what really settles me. It calms me. It keeps me grounded. I really anchor myself in that. I really do. I also am married, so I have a great husband to come home to.
Yes, you do. Yes, you do.
Come home to, and that's not a brag. That's just the truth. Like, I met my husband the first year I moved here. I had a job working retail and an equity card, and that was it. And I had 2 roommates. And I said to myself, I ain't got nothing to offer you. I'm here. I'm focused. You will not get me distracted. Love is never a distraction. It's never a distraction.
Say that again.
Love is never a distraction. It's never a distraction. It's an enhancement. It's an enhancement, because if they love you, they will enhance your life. They will enhance you and pick you up and say, this is where you're going, and I support you. I support you if you're in Harlem. I support you if you're in Jamaica. I support you if you're in Denmark. I support you wherever you are, go. And that is another level of anchored strength that I find from mentors that don't know me and from a husband that does. That's essential. Don't be afraid to love. Don't be afraid to love. Let love lead. Let it lead. Because every time you let it lead, it will showcase itself in your work. It'll showcase itself in your work. It will be very clear that you are loved or that you have loved. It is clear.
Oh my God. I'm literally so obsessed with all of the things that you're saying. And I know that everybody is responding to it right now. And if people aren't journaling about this and writing it down right now, then I don't even know. So every week we do a Marination Station.
Come on, Marination.
Just a spaceship lands, and they land on Marination Station, where we are going to marinate in something. And I guess in a sense, it's kind of like a homework assignment. You've already given us so much to focus on and think about, and new ways to look at things. But in regards to strength, what would you say we could come back to in our Marination Station this week?
Well, Marination Station is really, in my opinion, it's meditation station. Oh, that's really what it is. Meditation. I encourage everyone to meditate. Meditate. Find some time of stillness and just shut it off. In the mornings, before you post, before you get up, before I post anything, I have my own moment. Before I say anything to the world, before I say anything to anyone else, I say thank you for waking me up. Thank you. Thank you. Whatever that is you choose to believe in it. Listen, whatever, all the roads lead to success, okay? Whatever your spirituality practice is or spiritual practice is, own it. Find a time to meditate. Take a moment to breathe. Take a moment to find stillness. Stillness will settle. It will settle you. It will calm you. It will help you find your roadmap. It will help you find it. I encourage everyone. You already know this. Find stillness.
Yes. And in that, there's strength in stillness. And just like you talked about, that one of the first things is that you got still. You got still, and that's how you connected with where you're supposed to be, what your purpose is. So that's so Brilliant, Joshua. I love you so much. You have given us so much deliciousness. You are such a light worker. And I love you so much. And I'm going to put in the description box below, you will see Joshua's Instagram handle, and follow him. Follow him for Pilates instructions as well, which is the most amazing. I mean, you just want to, this is where you want to see this happen and where you want to get inspired. But also, your Instagram stories are some of my favorite ones to watch. They are so inspirational. There is always some quotes going on. There is some journaling. There is some music. There is some nature. I mean, you give us everything that we need. And thank you again so much for being such a light worker. I love you so much.
I love you back, and I'm so happy to share anything with you. Thank you for having me on. I love you. Sierra is the queen, honey. There's only one.
Honey? Queens.
Queens, honey. There's only one. Listen, but there's only one on the screen.
Well, I see one.
Oh.
I see one and you see one.
Listen, don't start.
Don't start.
Marination Station.
Marination Station. Strength and stillness.
In love with you.
Love you.